If you think you'd love a cookie that's a cross between a shortbread cookie and pie crust, these are for you. Today we are gonna make, I've heard them called several things, Swedish or Norwegian cream cookies. I've also heard them called pie crust cookies, but whatever you call them, they are delicious. They're a little bit tedious, but not crazy complicated. So we're gonna make them together, and I'm excited to share them with you. They are a cutout cookie, which is not my favorite thing, which I'll explain in the video. So, you make the dough, roll it out, cut out shapes. They also are a sandwich cookie. So you're gonna, once you bake them, put the frosting in the middle, sandwich them together. But they're just such a simple and tasty treat that I thought I would share them with you. They also go great for this time of year. So join me while we make those today, and stay tuned for the end where I'm gonna give a few tips about them and a new product that I purchased because of some hiccups that I had while making these cookies, and I'm excited to share these with you today. Like all good things, we are starting with butter. I will also be doubling the batch because I'm going to be making this cookie for a couple of different occasions and want to make sure I have plenty. Also, because they're a sandwich cookie, I need to make double what I need so that I have each side of the cookie. If you've watched my other videos, I usually start out in my baking videos by making the frosting first because it just saves a step. I don't have to wash the bowl out because there's no raw ingredients that could be harmful in the frosting. And the ingredients in the frosting don't typically cause any issues for the cookie or cake that we make next. For this cookie specifically, I'm just making a simple buttercream frosting. And as you can see, I'm using my favorite Molina brand Mexican vanilla because it's the bomb. If you have not tried it yet, you can order it from Amazon. I did find that out because my son also loves it and he likes to bake. And he went to college. They didn't have it at his local grocery stores, so he ordered some on Amazon. Now, if I was wanting the frosting to stay a very light color, like I would with like my birthday cake frosting or even some buttercreams, then I would not use the Molina because it will turn it a little brown. I would use my clear vanilla that I got from like a cake decorating store or like section. But because I'm going to be dyeing this frosting, I want the flavor more than I care about the color for this specific recipe, I'm just going to worry about the brownish tinge later by using like a darker food coloring. I'm just scraping the frosting out into a different bowl and setting it aside while I work on the cookie dough. I'm also switching to my dough attachment. And of course, the cookies start with butter too. I'm adding my splash guard because I'm making a bit more dough than usual in my mixer, and I'm about to add the flour and I don't want it everywhere. And no, you didn't miss a step. There is no sugar added to this dough at this stage because later on I'll show you you dip them in sugar once they're cut into their shapes. Now the dough goes in the refrigerator for an hour. You can also test the dough to see if it's firm enough, but usually it needs to be refrigerated for at least a little bit just to firm up enough to be able to roll it out easily. Now I'm adding heavy cream that you saw earlier. My son actually drinks heavy cream during the holidays to go with his goodies. So it's like something that I used to buy for him as a special little holiday treat. So I always think of him when I have it. And the sad part is I probably will end up just wasting the rest of this cream because he's not here to drink it. Although I may freeze it. I think my mom did that occasionally for different recipes. So that might be something I try. Here is our ugly frosting, but don't worry, it is going to turn out a cute muted purple that will look good with the cookies. I ended up being pulled in a different direction and the dough was in the fridge for way too long. So now it is not cooperating. I did finally get it rolled out, but I just hate doing cutout cookies because they're tedious and you always have like edges you have to re-roll. So I thought I'd be clever and just use a pizza cutter and cut it into rectangles, but they weren't very even, so it kind of backfired on me. But we got it done in the end. The next step is to dip each cookie into sugar on each side and then put it on the cookie sheet. And make sure you don't skip this next step. Poking them with a fork means that they will bake flat and even instead of puffing up. You don't want that, and it's going to happen if you don't poke them. Then we bake until just golden brown, making sure we don't overbake. Here is a close-up after they've baked. As you can see, they are just barely golden, but not too brown. I'd better try one plain just to make sure. As you can see, they come out kind of flaky, very similar to a pie crust or shortbread cookie. I guess I better try the finished product too. Oh my gosh, you guys, they're so tasty. The cookie isn't very sweet itself, so it combines perfectly with that buttercream. They're kind of tedious to make, but really they're such a simple cookie, but the combination is just a classic. They're perfect for like holidays, brunch, Mother's Day, a plate for a friend, all sorts of things. Well, now you saw my adventures. I had a few hiccups. I always try to leave those in because I think it's good to be instructional and show, the proper way to do things, but most of us are in real life where we don't have a commercial kitchen, we haven't made this recipe 800 times, and sometimes we mess up or underestimate things or we get distracted and leave the dough in too long or things like that. So I like to leave those in because even when real life stuff happens, you can still make tasty treats, you can still decorate your home or plant a garden. I just love to show the real life aspect. I'm going to be putting the recipe in the description, but I do want to mention that the recipe I used actually was just one I had jotted down. I thought I had the real recipe, but I couldn't find it, but I found the just handwritten one. It had no instructions, it just had ingredients. So when I found the actual recipe and I realized you were supposed to cut the butter in until it's crumbly like a pie crust, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. I didn't do it that way. They turned out great. Nobody complained. So that's just another thing to note, that it is best to do it the way it says in the instructions, but there's plenty of times where, you might not be able to, you might not have all the ingredients, or maybe you just don't have the recipe and you just mixed it together. Either way, they turned out great. Let me show you what I got. All right, so my plan with the pizza cutter backfired, mainly because, you know, I'm not real precise, and also just using the pizza cutter wasn't great. I already have cookie cutters. I have hearts and Christmas trees and other holiday things, and I probably even have some circles somewhere. But when you cut those out, there's always the edges. Then you have to make that into a pile again and roll it out again, and it's just a pain. And I thought to myself, why don't I just buy square? Because most of the time when I'm making these, I don't need to do a shape. Like, it's fun to do a shape, but I don't have to. And I probably would make cutout cookies more often if they weren't such a tedious pain. So I went on Amazon and found these. Let's see if I can get them to focus. I'll just do them one at a time. It came with the rectangle. There's 3 of them, small, medium, large, and the square, same thing, small, medium, large. And I'm so excited because as you go along, like boop, 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 then you come back through, it's gonna fit up pretty close. Like, you're not gonna have much waste. You're gonna be able to just cut them all out, have all your dough used up, not have to wad up the edges and peel off the edges and re-roll. Plus, I loved the little preview picture. In fact, if I can get it, I'll try to include that. Otherwise, I'll just put the link in the description. But just even the square cookies, like just basic without decoration, they were just adorable, and they just looked really classy. And I thought, although I love, you know, sometimes a heart for Valentine's or things, I think I will get more use out of these just because, I mean, I could decorate it with somebody's initial. I can make it look like a Christmas present or a birthday present. The ones online didn't even have frosting, and they were still cute. You could just do so much, I think, with the squares. And I was glad this set came with the rectangles because I saw some where they made them look like a little letter. Just lots of options. So that was my solution, but also something now I'm kind of excited. And in the past, I'd be like, kids, like, they want to do like sugar cookies. I don't want to do sugar cookies because I hated that part of it. But now I'm like, ooh, you know, what other cutout cookie recipes do I have? So that's my exciting little kind of tool. At the time when I ordered them, I thought, oh, I can also use them for, and there was another baking thing I could use them for, but I can't. Oh, I remember crackers. I have a couple of homemade cracker recipes, and especially this little size would be so great for like, I have a homemade like Cheez-It recipe. So yeah, lots of options, lots of ideas popping into my brain. Let me know if you have like a favorite cutout cookie recipe that you love. I have a sugar cookie one. They puff up a lot, so it'd be interesting to see what would happen like with this. Would you even, I don't know, if it would be recognizable. Anyway, we have a recipe for that we like. And then these that I shared with you, I don't know that we have any others that I'm thinking of, or if we do, like, I don't make them very often because they don't come to mind. So if you have some, please share in the favorite family cutout cookie that you make, or cracker recipe or anything, because I'd love the chance to use these in a video and show you guys how they turn out and what I decided to do with them. So as always, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with me through all the crazy and the real life. I hope you make these cookies and let me know if you do. I want to know how they turn out. I want to know if you had the same problems I did or your own problems. And yeah, just drop a comment, let me know. Like, subscribe if you haven't, all that stuff. And I now have a Facebook page if you want to engage with me more or with each other, which I have on my channel description, so you can go over there. I also, if you're not aware, have an Instagram page where I'll put like behind the scenes, I'll do previews of upcoming videos, sometimes the mini days in the life, or even just things about me. So if, you know, for some reason you find me interesting, you can go over there and find out more about me. I think that's all. Bye for now.